Right, this is a quick video on how to disassemble and reassemble a power steering pump on a 2008 Ford Fusion 3.0 6-cylinder. So once you get the power steering pump out, first you're going to want to pull these off. These are all 12mm sockets. Pull these 4 bolts out. One more thing, make sure you do not remove this pulley off the shaft, because if you look here, you'll never be able to get it back on because there's no threading in the shaft to use a pulley installer. I actually bent this pulley trying to reinstall the shaft into it. I had to get another one from the junkyard to actually put in my car. But anyway, once you get those bolts off, pull this back plate. Alright, once you pull that back plate off, this is going to be your first seal. Take this seal out. This guy's really easy to know which one to replace it with, of course. And then the next thing you're going to want to do, there's going to be like a C-clip kind of thing in here, but it's going to be real tight. Here's one that's not all bent. I had to bend this one to actually get the shaft out. You're going to have to figure out how to get it out. It was a pain in the ass. But anyway, once you get that out, this guy is going to have a bunch of these fins in here. It's like that. On all these little slots. So you're going to want to make sure when you pull this out, you don't lose any of these fins, because they're going to slip right out when it's all nice and oily from the power steering fluid. I'm going to pull this out. And you're going to pull this out. Here's your next 2 seals. Let's just take this off of the shaft, just for a little bit easier view. So there's these 2 inside here, flat seals. Now in the actual seal kit that I got, these were not flat like they are here. So this seal in the kit was a big round red one. This looked like a normal O-ring. And this seal was a black O-ring. And there's a couple different O-rings in there, but you're gonna have to find the one that just it's a little tight to go on there. You'll figure it out. The other 2 O-rings that are in the kit, there's one for this bolt down here that's obviously going to be too big for this, so that clears that one out. And there's one more in here that's probably about this big, and it's too tight of a fit. You can see in there, it's obviously not the right size. The other one, it'll be a little bit tight, but it's not going to be that tight, and that'll be the right one to put on there. It should just slip on, kind of like how this one does. And then your next step, take this 10mm stud off. And that's that other O-ring I was talking about. That's this one. That you could almost use for that one, but it's too small. So you're going to pull this guy out. See? Alright, and the next step, unbolt this. Oh yeah, there's a spring in there. This is a 27 millimeter head. So you're gonna use a 27 millimeter socket or wrench or whatever. Pull that out, and there's a spring. You could actually use one of these cover bolts to push this guy out. You don't have to take this whole thing apart, but I mean, you should really clean your entire power steering pump with brake cleaner or something. This is the one that I just did. Look, brand new. I cleaned it all inside too. But you should definitely, this is just the one from the junkyard I had to pull the shaft and pulley off of because I bent mine. All right, so that'll be your next seal. It's gonna be on here. You can tell. This is just a comparison to what this seal is on this bolt compared to that shaft, inner shaft kind of thing in here. This one's obviously too big. So there's another seal in the kit that I don't have because I used the kit on that one. But there's another seal that'll fit just right on there. So those are all the seals, except this front main one is obvious. It's gonna be a red one in the kit. And when you pull this out, you're really gonna fuck it up, so. Pull that out, and when you press the new one in, you can use this bolt. Just be careful. You could press it in a little too far, but I pressed it in maybe an extra 2 or 3 millimeters, because this will press right down in there. Just press on that with like a piece of wood or something. So I pressed mine in a little past flush. I don't know if that'll be an issue or not. You should try to make it flush as possible. All right, now for reassembly, once you clean it all, it's your pulley and your shaft. It's your pump housing. You're gonna have the new seal in there. You're gonna wanna lubricate all these seals with power steering fluid when you install them, and then this shaft before you put this on. Start with that guy. Put your new seal in, new seal in. And here's a tricky part. So once those seals are in, you're gonna wanna put this in. There's a little C on here. You can see it on that corner right here. Just keep track of that. That goes towards the back of the pump. And then on this little bracket, there's another C. And that's gonna have to match up. The two C's that are stamped will be facing each other. It'll have to, see, you'll have to flip it. That'll line up just like that. Make sure these pins will go all the way through there. You might have to wiggle it a bit. And then you're gonna get this, make sure none of the fins fall out. Drop that in there. Gonna get your new C-clip and press it on. So to get it on the shaft initially, I used a 10 millimeter deep socket and just pressed it down. And once you get to here, you're gonna want to spread this apart, maybe with like some picks or something, and just work it around, and it'll seat. You could see the groove that it seats in right here. That's the groove it'll actually seat in. So you'll have to get it over this little bump and then into that groove. So then once you get that on, just throw that in there for now. So once you get that on, you're gonna put your new gasket on. And then line these pins up like that. make sure you put some power steering fluid down in that, around the shaft, you know what I mean? And this guy will just drop right in. And you'll put your, probably have to wiggle it, make sure the pins line up. And when it's sitting on this shaft all the way against the pulley, it's not gonna go in. You're gonna have to lift it up. The bolts will pull it together, but you have to make sure those pins are lined up. Otherwise you're screwed. The pins, it should be basically touching when you bolt it all together. I'm pretty sure it's lined up. You see, you can feel when those pins go in. And tighten all these bolts. There's no torque specs for any of this shit. So just make them tight. Not too tight, but tight. So you're gonna put all these bolts back in. All right, and then next, let's do this inlet tube seal. You're gonna wanna put some power steering fluid on there again. And this inlet seal will go here. So the pressure switch is down there, so the bolt, there's only actually one threaded hole, so you can't really fuck it up. So you're gonna put that in, the stud back in with the washer. There's a washer on the stud. The washer goes towards the pump. And you're gonna reassemble this part. You're gonna drop this piece in with the pin in. And then the spring. You're gonna put the new O-ring on there. Tighten that down. And then you're gonna want to tighten this all the way down until it bottoms out, and then just a little bit more. Use a, again, 27mm socket. Then if you want to replace this switch, the pressure switch I did, it's a 19mm deep socket. Again, just like hand tight, a little bit past. And that's it, and you have your power steering pump reassembled with new gaskets. One more thing I wanted to add for this power steering pump. For the banjo bolt, you can reuse this bolt, but you're going to want to replace these crush washers on it. There's one up here, and then you're going to have your power steering pressure tube that gets fed by this hole. Then you're going to have on the other side of that pressure tube, you're going to have another copper crush washer. So just to show you, you're never going to, if you search for a power steering banjo bolt crush washer, you're never going to find it. So you can get these oil drain plugs. I just got these off Amazon. They're for some specific model of car. I'm sure you could find them if you search for that part number. Or that. It's the whole thing right there. This was like $6 for a pack of like 30 of them. And they're the exact right size, you could tell. Perfect. And just in case you can't find this number right there, or this, or that brand, the measurement of them, so they're going to have an ID of 13.9, so a 14mm inside diameter for these crush washers. and an outside diameter .8, so like 14 millimeter ID and a 20 millimeter OD copper crush washer. Just to see, I'm sure they're all the same thickness, which you can find, but just for completeness, they're about 1.5 millimeters thick. And that should be everything you need to put your power steering pump back together.